Your salary went up 8%. Your rent went up 12%. Your groceries up 25%. Your insurance doubled. The economy is growing. You're getting poorer. Both are true. If you've felt this, if right now you're making more money than you ever have, and somehow life feels tighter. This isn't confusion. This isn't bad budgeting. This is design. Because the economy you're living inside is not the economy being measured, and the gap between them is widening every single year. Today, I'm going to show you the exact moment this split happened, why it's invisible to most people, and why the people who see it early are the only ones who survive it. Let's start with one person living inside this contradiction right now. Meet Elena. Last year she got a $10,000 raise. This year she's $620 poorer. And before you decide this is someone else's story, let me show you the math. Because if you've gotten a raise in the last 2 years, this is probably happening to you right now. Elena, 34, senior project manager, Seattle. She does everything right. Tracks expenses. Maxes her 401k. No credit card debt. Lives below her means. 2 years ago, $72,000 to $82,000. A 14% raise. The kind of year you're told proves you did everything correctly. Her father called. You made it, Mija. Here's what actually happened. And notice how ordinary this feels. Rent, $1,750 to $2,100 a month, $4,200 per year. Insurance, $1,400 to $2,800, $1,400. Groceries, $420 to $580 a month, $1,920. Healthcare deductible, $2,000 to $4,500, $2,500 in exposure. No luxury spending, no lifestyle creep. Just the cost of staying where she is. Now the math. Income increase, $10,000. Cost increases, $10,020. She made more money. She fell behind by $20. Then compounding hits. Her 401k contribution rises with her salary. Another $600 gone. Her real take-home increase is $9,400. She's now $620 in the hole, while working harder than ever. And every day, she sees the same headlines you do. Economy shows resilience. Growth beats expectations. She thinks, what am I doing wrong? If you've ever thought that, pause. Nothing is wrong with Elena. Nothing is wrong with you. What changed is this. There are now 2 economies running at the same time, and most people are living in the one that isn't being protected. When economists say the economy is growing, they're not saying life improved, only that more money changed hands. And here's the part that changes everything. There are 2 separate economies that money moves through. Most people think there's only one. Economy number 1, the asset economy. This is what gets measured. Stock market indices, real estate valuations, corporate profit margins, GDP growth, financial transactions. When you hear the economy is strong, this is what they mean. And right now, economy number 1 looks incredible. S&P 500, near record highs. Real estate values, up 47% since 2020. Corporate profits, record margins, wealth and assets, all-time highs. Economy. Number 2, the cost economy. This is what you live inside. Rent, healthcare, insurance, food, energy. Time, risk, stability. Economy number 2 doesn't get the same headlines. But it's what determines whether your life is actually getting better or worse. Here's the critical part. These 2 economies are moving in opposite directions, and they've been diverging for 45 years. When economy number 1 grows, real estate values surge, rent increases, stock portfolios appreciate, ownership concentrates, corporate profits rise, insurance premiums jump, financial assets boom, cost of stability goes up. Elena got her raise from participating in economy number 1. Her company grew, so she got paid more. But she lives in economy number 2. And economy number 2 is growing faster than economy number 1. That's why she's falling behind. Same system. Opposite outcomes. This wasn't always true. There was a time when these 2 economies moved together. Let me show you exactly when they split. 1978, factory worker in Pittsburgh. Annual salary, $24,000. Median home price, $55,000. Ratio, 2.3 years of salary to buy a home. That worker's employer provided pension, company manages investment risk, full health insurance, company absorbs healthcare costs, job security, layoffs rare, tenure valued. When the economy grew, wages grew with it. Productivity up 2.5%, wages up 2.5%. The two economies were linked. 1981. In 1981, inflation was crushed, but so was the wage-productivity link. From that moment on, risk quietly moved off institutions and onto workers. Pensions became 401ks, full insurance became deductibles, permanent jobs became contracts. This is the moment. The two economies decouple. 2024. Warehouse worker in Pittsburgh. Annual salary, $44,000. Median home price, $285,000. Ratio, 6.5 years of salary to buy a home. The economy still grows, but now growth means asset prices rise, and you're priced out of buying them. Both economies grew. But in 1978, growth meant wages plus stability plus access to assets. In 2024, growth means asset prices rose, and you're priced out of buying them. The economy didn't stop working. It just started working for a different input, capital, not labor. Here's why Elena doesn't see this pattern, why millions don't see it. Because the system measures itself. When the government reports economic growth, they're measuring GDP, total transactions, including asset sales, stock market performance, asset appreciation, employment rate. Do you have a job? Not whether it pays enough corporate earnings, profit margins, not wage share. What they're not measuring: can people afford housing? Is healthcare accessible without debt? Do wages keep pace with costs? Can you build wealth from labor alone? The official inflation metric, CPI, tries to track cost increases, but it systematically underreports what working people actually experience. Housing. CPI uses owner's equivalent rent, a calculation of what homeowners would pay if they rented their own home. This massively understates actual rent increases. Healthcare. CPI uses average costs, not out-of-pocket expenses after deductibles. So when inflation is reported at 3%, it reflects asset stability, not what working people actually pay. Elena's actual cost increases are 15 to 18%, but her experience doesn't show up in the data, which is why she thinks, I must be doing something wrong. She's not. The system is reporting on economy number 1 while she lives in economy number 2, and the gap between them is the largest it's been in 80 years. Now here's the most dangerous part. When the measured economy looks strong but your life feels harder, you don't blame the system, you blame yourself. Elena scrolls LinkedIn every morning. Everyone's posting. Grateful for this opportunity. Excited to announce my promotion. Blessed to be part of an amazing team. She thinks, everyone else is thriving. Why am I struggling? So Elena works longer hours, takes on side projects, delays major purchases, cuts small joys, coffee, streaming services, dinners out. Feels guilty for wanting stability. She's internalizing a structural problem as a personal failure. And here's why that matters to the system. A system that depends on growth through asset inflation needs a steady supply of labor to keep wages suppressed, borrowers to keep credit flowing, risk absorbers to handle volatility that corporations no longer take. If people like Elena understood this was structural, they might demand wages that match asset growth, reject debt that finances basic stability, organize collectively, question why rent tracks asset prices instead of wages. But if Elena thinks it's her problem, she works harder, takes more risk, accepts less stability, blames herself. The system doesn't need to force this behavior. It just needs to make sure the measured economy number 1, looks healthy. Then individuals absorb the costs of economy number 2 as personal responsibility. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just how the structure functions when growth comes from asset appreciation instead of wage increases. This exact pattern has played out before, not just once. Every time a reserve currency transitions. Britain, 1920, 1970. The pound was still the global reserve currency in 1920. British workers in 1925 thought everything was fine. They had jobs. The pound was stable. The empire was intact. But underneath, wages stagnated. Cost of living rose, asset owners consolidated wealth. By 1970, British wage earners had lost 80% of their purchasing power. Not in a crash, not in a single dramatic moment, in a 50-year downgrade that felt normal the entire time. United States, 1971 to 2024. Nixon closes the gold window in 1971. Dollar becomes pure fiat currency. Asset prices begin outpacing wages immediately. By 2024, housing costs 3x more relative to wages than in 1971, healthcare costs 5x more, education costs 7x more. Meanwhile, stock market up 5,000%, real estate up 400%. The economy grew, but the growth went to assets, not labor. Same pattern, different century. And Elena is living inside it right now. Elena can't change the past, but she can stop asking the wrong question. She's been asking, what am I doing wrong? The real question is, which economy am I living in? Because once you see the split, you can't unsee it. When you hear GDP grew 3%, you ask, which GDP? Assets or wages? When you hear markets at record highs, you ask, who owns those markets? When you hear inflation is under control, you ask, which inflation index? The system isn't lying to you. It's just measuring a different economy than the one you live inside. And the gap between them is the story of the next 20 years. Elena is still working harder, still saving carefully, still doing everything right. But now she's asking better questions. Who benefits when my rent rises? Who absorbs the risk when stability disappears? What kind of growth am I actually participating in? These questions lead somewhere. Next video, I'll show you why holding cash feels like safety, but it's actually a position, and why that distinction will determine who survives the next decade. Welcome to Geopolitics of Money.